fakeness, hip-hop matrix vision. Back again, in these bars, this is my prison. Walls of these pages with pen shanks I'm scribbling. No visits, lines on paper, concrete walls. My margin is my showers and my washroom stalls. End of the page is when I make parole. Force me to execute rappers, then throw me in the hole. So much so, an MC, not confined. The elements of hip-hop today are not combined. Almost seeing the other side, gotta stay focused. Just gotta let that phone ring and don't lose focus. They can't try to hocus pocus, send rapping jokers with handbags, Gucci purses and chokers. Jeans, wrestler, spandex type, turning youths to robots. If you drink a Sprite, that's not what I say, that's what they do. Use rappers to sell you sneakers and Mountain Dew, flowing like a fountain dew. When you turn the lever, setting the bar for conscious MCs and rapping believers. Trapped with me in these bars, rappers begging for seizures. Hanging rappers with the strongest lines, squirm like leeches. Sentenced to the underground, no one hears your screams. Left right to the mouth for these black and yellow dreams. What happened to the MCs? Ask yourself. What happened to the DJ? Ask yourself. What happened to the grapher? Ask yourself. What happened to the dancer? Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself.
Check it. Let's open the book of hip-hop and make advances. My supreme knowledge of alchemical sciences only enhances my ability to drop metaphysical answers. When asked about the MC, the DJ, the graph, and the dancers, earth, air, fire, water, all being born to hip-hop. Study hard to get that, forget rap, cause it's not. The transformation from lead to go from man to God can be achieved through hip-hop. It's art, the planet's ours. The colors and tones and archetypes will spark the light. Give your third eye a bird's eye, restore the loss of sight. You already lost the fight whenever I come across the mic, because you're dealing with God and you can never exhaust the light. We making the shift from hip-hop to God-hop. It's the return of the ancient ones and we coming non-stop. So when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I'm here, straight from the boogie down, so have no fear.
What happened to the MCs? Ask yourself. What happened to the DJ? Ask yourself. What happened to the grapher? Ask yourself. What happened to the dancer? Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself. It's only in the underground, unseen but heard. Oracles, words, and metaphoric slurs. Riding on the soothe the savage beat tones. Paparazzi taking pictures, talking on the phone. Pictures tell 1,000 words. Bus drivers on camera, reading or sleeping while driving on camera. He might even be hammered. It's not even lunch yet. Didn't have breakfast, clock not even punch yet. Send that to the news and post on YouTube. Hits some people get are in the thousands, not few. Charge $1, make $1 million. Set up a website and PayPal, make a killing. Right, psych, that's all just hype. I'm on the streets bringing youth from darkness to light. I'm in their courts, not playing ball but schooling them crossover thoughts. It's not training camp like October sports. Season's been started. Sam's goons shoot shadow targets. Got them thinking it's the shoes when they're the market. Got them thinking it's the booze and blunts you smoke. Got them thinking magazine monthly hip-hop quotes have the best lines. They can't test time. Rappers get awards for MC best albums and best rhymes. I was the brush carrier with fades and waves. Didn't know that hairstyle was from the ancient days. Me doing the work for the Amazon matriarchal. Rapping hip-hop today is so patriarchal. Female MCs on the mic are probably no 6. The game is like church and demigods, no woman on pulpits. We have to say what we must, sow some seeds so we can grow strong trees with the bedsheet leaves. Deadbeat seas, most navigate with flows. I flow on papyrus beat bones as I write these scrolls. Bring them back to hip-hop's constitutional fold. Even mics can't escape, catch a bruise when I hold. My paper trails leave them, soothe when I owe. Apply more science, never get booed when I flow. Cushion pen, not the crush when you see I blow. Flow for right years, when my 3 eyes glow. And head and rapper inquisition. Pen mighty and the swords not even on ink we missing. What happened to the MCs? Ask yourself. What happened to the DJ? Ask yourself. What happened to the grapher? Ask yourself. What happened to the dancer? Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself. Yeah. IHF. Jack your wish. IHF. Never jacked nothing in a long time. Or y'all like to diss Mars. I still listen to Bashir and Ali Muhammad with his fake temple degree. Reggie the doctor, no doctorate. Men admitting they got weave in their hair lock. Even if you were a stone, I wouldn't say you rock. What I say to you flock, stop listening to SETI. Backing up Farrakhan, but you didn't listen to Betty. Didn't listen to Aleem Bay, much less research. Don't think I respect blacks in more t-shirts. Stateless trolls, YouTube comment inventors. So conscious but checking off black on the census. Blaming your suffering on America, not U.S. Saying more sold you out when you sold yourself. Sold by your owner, Danga kings on African thrones. No honor your ancestors, I see them slapping your domes. Clapping your chromes at targets, never clap at the devil. Unconscious Moors calling themselves what the pot called a kettle.
I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil. I never sleep, because of the devil. I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil.
There's no debate, Moors deflate egos of the world's most known disgraced people. Choosing to have no national name or profit. They claim he plagiarized the European nigga, stop it. Rami L, Self and Canaanland Moors prove that wrong. If you're still thinking the same, that's cracking your bong. Listening to Shaka is like listening to whack rappers or any of the HOK patriarchal actors. Frontin' conscious sucking straws, acting all fruity, making a killing off lectures, but won't support natural Tahuti. Claiming Khalid is their general, but won't follow orders. Taking advice from the cracker-taught attorneys and lawyers. Keeping the people dumbed down, not thinking. Keep pushing lies on Moors, so our truth won't sink in. It will for the few who know to keep it simple. Ron Artest even corrected his name to one of the prophet's principles.
I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil. I never sleep, because of the devil. I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil.
Nothing more can be said, no pun intended. With no study, what we say won't be comprehended. Some of y'all love the lies from these conscious guys, calling you colors and shades, hiding their lying eyes, trying to make Moors look bad. We couldn't care less. Moors stay upright, aboriginal, independent and fearless. We might bare necks, no need to bear arms or chest. Dr. Reggie has a Moorhead on his family crest. Polite nose, calling yourself black means you're dead. He said it and recorded it, so we won't forget it. Phil Valentine and Dr. Blair know they're Moors too. So in my Ms. voice I ask, what's wrong with you? Why you stay in the stateless and have no clue? Your name, nationality, and title brought back by Drew. Then you say, what's wrong with me? Like I have a problem. Putting conscious blacks head in the news, solving the Negro problem.
I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil. I never sleep, because of the devil. I never sleep, the sleep is the cause of the devil.
Invasion. Watch for democracies, hypocrisy, philosophies, fear and shock factories, pseudo-pop mockeries and poppy fields, blocking swinging chops without Moroccan shields. Industry demonic, thoroughbreds and spokes and stocking wheels, puffing fields empty, buried in the battlefields. Working on the streets is walking in some cattle fields. King Alfred gruesome, lover mental snoozing, sleepwalking and talking, cell phones are soothing. Minds disappearing, genetic memory erasing. Don't even have a job, but they get you for tax evasion. Hot like a frying pan, crying fam, lying men. Use gadgets, fire men, no loyalty, just buying friends. No credit, debt slaves, walking over paved graves. Enslaved, enraged, marriage to death, prearranged. Mike Sufi Genie, bomb tracks bikini. Stupid niggas call my fez bucket hat when they see me, but won't ask a thing or drink the water that I bring. But when the Pope comes, they're kissing on the ring. They rather drink a rapper's flow from the black fountain. Piper got the dead lined up in the thousands. Confusion with illusions, infusion with sorcery. Won't give up my birthright no matter what they offer me. No deal. Push the red button, I'm going home. On own, close my eyes, meet SNL and Vendome. The fire that we will roll, make them all shake. Islamism grand chic, not spelled like shake. Open minds, not scarred on when you enter my zone. I wouldn't call it murder when I snap the neck of Macron, trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. Peter's face the slaughter, no making me a martyr. Third eye and larger, aura is my armor. When I plant a seed in man's soil where I'm farmer. Use the almanac, sorta like an almanac. Keep listening to sleepless hip-hop insomniac. Moorish MC, call me that acquiesce, don't call back, just fall back. Any rapper after 95, all whack. Their flow just trickles like drops on icicles. Rappers need training wheels on their rhymesicles. Keep people's mind pickled in a lost realm. When it comes to Moorish MCs, I'm at the helm. Invasion. Trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. Rashid's face the slaughter, it's making me a martyr. Third eye and larger, aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Invasion. Trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. Rashid's face the slaughter, it's making me a martyr. Third eye and larger, aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Invasion.
Good brother.
My question to you is, how do you said earlier about the Moors, you were talking about the Moors.
Yes.
And that they were the free man of the nation. You know, we still have, we are all Moors, technically speaking.
I'm an African.
You're African. My thing is...
And I respect my Moorish brothers, though. I got a lot of good Moorish brothers and sisters.
What was I saying? Okay, so we're missing, you say we're missing a link right here. We're missing a link in the middle, correct? Is that what you're saying? Like you said that we can't go all the way back to ancient. We can go back to ancient Kemet, but we're missing a link. It's something we're missing. We can tap into that spiritual energy. We can become one with the Creator. You know what I'm saying? Because each one of us is a creator, right?
Right.
And we're all, how can I say, we all manifest the heaven here. Okay? And so when the more you're going, we're putting in the spirituality and bringing nationality back so that we won't be stuck in that, how can I say, in the colorful law.
Okay.
We know that black is our true essence. You know, we know that we're divinity. At the same time, these Europeans have put down things on pieces of paper, birth certificate, and stuff to get us trapped into the system. So what I'm thinking is, the key is, we're missing that nation's flag. Yes, we know Moors. We can't even put our people on a pedestal, because the thing is, we can't even limit ourselves to Africa. Because we moved into Asia, into Africa, and named that as one of our nations.
No, that's not true.
Oh, you know, okay,
There's no relic of any human being, and I challenge you on any more. Not with theory, but artifacts. Because anybody can talk theory. Show me the remains of a human being in Africa older than the ones, in Asia, older than the ones in Africa, or here, or anywhere else on earth. When you go to the artifacts, you cannot prove it. Only in theory. There is no human artifact in Asia older than the ones in Africa. That belief that we started in Asia is simply not true. Prove it with the artifacts.
Okay.
Not with theory.
However, I do want to say that I do believe that with this law, though, with this colorful law, it's talking about in this time and
Yeah, I think you can use the science. No, I'm not going to throw out the science, because there's certain things where I believe that whether you're an African is like me or more, we can link up on. Particularly the international law and how to apply it to our people as a nation. Do you follow what I'm saying? So I'm not throwing it out at all. I'm simply saying that you don't have to call yourself a Moor in order to tap into that science or use it. You see what I'm saying? I'm not throwing it out. I'm just saying I don't have to identify with that in order to tap into that science. And I don't want us to confuse tactics with gold. And what I mean by that is, I can give up my social security card. I can give up my birth certificate. I can give up my driver's license. But does that mean I'm free?
No.
See, I think sometimes okay, because you ain't got these pieces of paper, you're more freer than the next black man.
No.
Welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I'm Al Kumar.
I'm Hanifa.
And we are your hosts each and every Wednesday, where we come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. Today will be no different. We have a super duper special guest on the phone with us today, Dr. Umar Johnson. Woo, 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 woo. How you?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I am Al Kumar, one of the events coordinators here at Everlasting Life. Me and my brother Ali hooked up to do this very important, very serious discussion tonight on are we black people? So we thought this discussion was going to be helpful for the larger community who don't have a clue as to what we are talking about. So we definitely plan to live stream this. We're asking that you please do not jump on your live streams for this discussion tonight. We will have DVDs available after this, and you will be able to also see it again on live after this, after tonight. But there are paid people who's online is paid to watch this. So just out of fairness to them, we ask that you do not live it to the general public. Just some important house rules. So, I'm sure Taj Tariq Bey needs no introduction. So,
Where was the woo and all the stuff like what Umar got? Because if Taj Tariq Bey needs no introduction, obviously these people know what's up. If they're going to have some debate about are we black people at Everlasting Life, vegan restaurant, peace to Brother Ali and everybody over there.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
But then, you're going to come and tell people about some China's footprint in Africa with Dr. Umar Johnson? So it clearly appears that there's a lot of people out here that are not for the liberation of our people. They're for their little, YouTube views, and then you get some
This
fiat
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
tickets for some online streaming, whatever, then you get some fiat, and the people stay dumb. Matter of fact, people get dumber. All because same message from 1913, these people playing around like they don't know. You know what I mean? Taj Tariq Bey needs no introduction. You know that much? You're telling me about some China's footprints in Africa? BS?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So we tell y'all people, do not get played. Make sure you keep your mind. I don't know what anybody else wants to do with theirs. Yours, you better make sure you have hold here stuff. Because they're trying every weak mind to try to drag out the true foundation that has been laid.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. They're trying every scheme.
How you doing, Brother Umar?
Peace and love, Queens. Peace and love. Glad to be with you.
And peace and love to you, sir.
Where are you on the planet right now?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
You're home.
Wirecast.
Home in Philly.
Yes.
Home in Philly. Okay, so folks were saying you looked like you were missing in action for a few months.
No. Keep in mind, Where are you on the planet right now? No challenge. I'm home in Philly. Not foreign. He's home. Philadelphia.
This
Born and
is a
raised. He's on the
demonstration of
playground.
Wirecast.
Philadelphia. Remember, home in Philadelphia. Not a foreigner. He's home there.
Were you out of the country recently?
Yes, we did a group tour to Ghana in commemoration of the quadricentennial of 400 years. The president of Ghana had declared 2019 to be the year of return for that purpose. So we were there with Professor Smalls and others celebrating the ancestors. So we were gone for about 2 weeks, and once I came back, I had to finish up my Ifa Tunde University course on Pan-Africanism, which ended in Washington, D.C., and then we celebrated the quadricentennial on August the 21st, my solar return, as well as the anniversary of the Nat Turner War. We did that down with Baba Khalifa at the Nat Turner Library. So it was a very packed yet fulfilling August.
Beautiful. Black August. Couldn't have picked no better time. And if memory serves me right, this is your birthday month too, right?
Yes, ma'am. August 21st.
Leo, right?
Happy, oh, you just had a birthday. Happy birthday, belated.
Thank you.
Fellow Leo. Yes, we rule. Well, today's discussion is on China's footprint in Africa. What does that mean for us here on this landmass? And we couldn't have found no better person to tackle this topic for us because...
Now keep in mind, the Moors tell you that we have titles. Be, De, El, Be.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We have titles.
We rule. Well, today's discussion is on China's footprint in Africa. What does that mean for us here on this landmass? And we couldn't have...
Now, how is your name Al, which is Moorish? You're talking about black people.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Black August. Again, why the emphasis? Just like when they did the expose on Are We Black People?
This is a
It
demonstration
came out that we're obviously
of
not that.
Wirecast.
It was presented at the debate at Everlasting Life between between Edward X and Taj Street Bay that we're not black people. Remember, Dan, this was presented by them.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Now, one of the signs of post-traumatic slave syndrome is when the victim takes the position, since they can't deal with the slave master that they claim did something to them, and all you do is march and picket and get nothing. They excuse them, and then they find another one and then call that one the boogeyman is gonna come get us. While the boogeyman that they even dealt with is still dealing with them on levels that, why are you letting them do you like that? And then why are you blaming them? How about take some responsibility instead of do stuff for views?
This
How
is a
about really let's
demonstration of
liberate our people?
Wirecast.
Let's free them from these contracts that they're under so they can really be free thinking beings, because they deserve that. As a people, they deserve that. They deserve to not be under pressure by people who never
This
had their
is a
best interests at all.
demonstration of Wirecast.
And the only reason that they get taken advantage of, like Noble Drew Ali taught us, because we chase after the carnal customs, thinking that that's for our liberation. So we're going to dissect this relation
This is a demonstration of
based on
Wirecast.
psychologist guy and based on how we think as free thinking Moors. Just something's not adding up here. 2019, people still talking crazy. Now, reference point. Dr. Chancellor Williams said in his work, The Destruction of Black Civilization. Now again, just who were the Moors?
This is a
The answer is very
demonstration of
easy.
Wirecast.
The original Moors, like the original Egyptians, were black Africans. As amalgamation became more and more widespread, only the Berbers, Arabs, and coloreds in the Moroccan territories were called Moors, while the darkest and black-skinned Africans were called blackamoors. Eventually, black was dropped from blackamoor. In North Africa and Morocco, in particular, all Muslim Arabs, mixed breeds, and Berbers are readily regarded as Moors.
Wirecast.
The African black kings had even this name taken from them, must contend for recognition as Moors. The African blacks, the gods of earth and all that, having had this name taken from them,
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
must contend for recognition as Moors. Page 207, if you want to go check. The scholar guy, Chancellor Williams. Classic book, all the black guys have it in their library. The Destruction of Black Civilization. Now what are you going to, forget what they said and what they did when they found out on page 207
This is a
what Chancellor
demonstration of
Williams told these
Wirecast.
jackasses about calling themselves fictions and how and what name they're going to be recognized as. This is also for all the Indian guys and the Black Power whoever and the Kemetic whoever and the Hebrew whoever, because all of them give honors to Chancellor Williams. How come they don't debate this? That we're not Moors. How come you don't debate Chancellor Williams?
Wirecast.
Destruction of black civilization. Why was the destruction of black civilization able to happen? Because these dumbasses were calling it black. Because on page 207, 9, the master teacher told these people, the African blacks, having even this name taken from them, must contend for recognition. Make sure you go look that up if you're going to pretend to be a dumbass. Recognition as Moors. Not as black guys, not as African guys, not as indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous guys. Don't forget, all these people honor Chancellor Williams. So don't debate Kudrow and Moors and all that stuff. This has nothing to do with us. We're presenting your stuff to you. Prove that wrong. You're gonna say that he's talking BS? Are we gonna say that Chancellor Williams is talking BS?
This is a
We really want to
demonstration
know.
of
If all you black
Wirecast.
guys or whoever are in the chat, or you indigenous guys or whoever in the chat, or you don't want to be Moors guys, and all you hater people that we're not Moors, we're everything else except Moors, is Chancellor Williams full of BS right now? And if that's the case, might as well shut down everything and we just go about our business and forget ever doing classes ever again. Because what's the sense?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
What's the sense? Why are we doing this work? If evidence like this is in people's face and they're pretending like they're not Moors. Oh, but they honor Chancellor Williams and they have his book at home and yeah, this is the best book and all that stuff. This is why people like Mario Bay, gone, underground, never heard of ever again. Only if you know how to contact him.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's really not worth it, really. I have the ritual. This is why I do class all the time. Can't talk for anybody else's time and what they want to do. But I have the ritual. So it's all good for me doing class every day, all day. It doesn't matter to me. Because I have a ritual that I'm doing while I do class like this.
This
The African
is a
blacks.
demonstration of
Remember that
Wirecast.
he's talking to everybody. The Africans and the blacks and the Africans blacks. He's talking to all of them. He's talking to all of them. Are they going to be in denial that we're Moors?
This is a demonstration of
But
Wirecast.
tell me they honor Chancellor Williams? So remember, I'm sure these guys know who Chancellor Williams is. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they know about the book, The Destruction of Black Civilization. So why are they playing around? What's the purpose of playing around?
This is a
Has to
demonstration
be
of
because you're a
Wirecast.
sellout. There's no other reason. There's absolutely no other reason why you deny our people their birthright when you honor Chancellor Williams, who said, yeah, I got you, more, that the blacks must.
This is a demonstration of
Must.
Wirecast.
The blacks must contend for recognition as Moors. Must. Islam more. Hold on. Freaking this stuff stay tripping around here. Yeah, more.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Right, must. It's not what we say. This is what Chancellor Williams, their scholar guy, says. The original Moors? What do you mean original? Original from when?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And then you're putting them in reference with Egyptians, which are supposed to be ancient people. Now you talk about Moors and Egyptians as who we are. As amalgamation became more and more widespread, only the Berbers, Arabs, and Coloreds in the Moroccan territories were called Moors. So at one time everybody was Moors.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Then they brought it down to only those in the Moroccan territories are Moors. Then they said, well, there's some dark ones, and then there's some black ones, and then there's some purple ones. Well, we're gonna have to call them blackamoors. Remember, not leaving the Moor off, always carrying the Moor.
This
Original
is a demonstration
Moors.
of Wirecast.
Chancellor Williams. And this is not the Moors. Moors know this already. Yeah. Because again, we can't teach studied people like that. Studied people, they study. It's not for them. It's not people who already know that they're Moors. So we're doing our best to find.
This is a demonstration of
little
Wirecast.
one or two black whoever's out here, African, indigenous, whatever, and just beat up their videos just to show and prove people are playing around with you. They either sold you out or they have some ulterior motive. It's not liberating you. If they were about you, they'd be telling you that you're Moors, because Chancellor Williams says that we're Moors.
This is a demonstration of
Found
Wirecast.
no better person to tackle this topic for us, because we know that you keep your eye really close to the continent, as you just got finished describing to us that you just came back from Ghana. Did you see a lot of China's footprint when you were there in Ghana?
Yes, I've seen a lot of China's footprints. In fact, when we were at one of the slave dungeons, it had been explained to us that star-kissed tuna fish, which has one of its largest hubs on the coast of Ghana near the slave dungeon, is actually owned by the Chinese. I did not know that. Wow. And there's about 2 or 3 major food industries that has Africa as its primary supply.
Islam, more.
Yeah, right then and there. Then I think all these Pan-African, so-called Indian people all owe Moors an apology, because Omar just said it was the Chinese who has slave ports on the side of Ghana who own those. But they say the Moors are the biggest slave traders in enslaving. But Omar, their guy, just told him the Chinese have owns those slave ports in Ghana. But they blame Moors.
Big business.
Blame Moors and slave.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Omar just told you it was the Chinese.
And like we're telling you, they keep jumping boogeymen.
Yeah.
They keep switching boogeymen. Never deal with anything. Just keep switching the boogeyman all the time.
Yeah, right.
Suppliers that are in fact owned by the Chinese. But the Chinese are very clandestine in the way in which they're taking over African corporations and businesses, whereas with the Europeans, they like to stick their flag up. You know, they like to let you know this is white owned, this is Jewish owned. The Chinese are very clandestine. They like to keep it hidden that they're actually the owners. So they're not actually going to show their flag until Africa has been completely purchased.
Wow. Well, I know by reading Dr. Chancellor Williams' famous book, help me out.
Destruction of the Black Civilization.
Destruction of the Black Civilization, where he talked about how the Chinese has always been in Africa. For as far as history, how we can record history back. What do you think is so different these days than days past?
Don't worry about these days yet. Because you just explained why China's footprint is in Africa's ass right now. Because they want to play colored. Remember, people like to play around
This is a
like
demonstration of
some type
Wirecast.
of people want to play like there isn't things going on in the world to show that people are full of BS. Bandung Conference, Asian and African states meeting about
This is a demonstration
colonizer
of
stuff.
Wirecast.
The Bandung Conference reflected the 5 sponsors' dissatisfaction with what they regarded as a reluctance by the Western powers to consult with them on decisions affecting Asia. Their concern over tension between the People's Republic of China and the United States. Their desire to lay firmer foundations for China's peaceful relations with themselves and the West. Their opposition to colonialism, especially French influence in North Africa. For all those people saying the Moors and the French and then the Moroccan flag is the French flag and all their BS. No, that was colonization. Same thing that you're going over here, that you have a great seal and then you're chasing an eagle like a dumbass. Like that's your government.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And Indonesia's desire to promote its case in the dispute with the Netherlands over Western New Guinea. Why is Indonesia? Hold on a second. So African and
This is a
Asian
demonstration of
states
Wirecast.
had a conference about China's tensions between the United States corps, and you're wondering why China's going to Africa right now? You're really wondering why right now? How come they didn't tell you about the Bandung Conference so you can see that these people are full of BS? China and African states have relations. Forget what you thought you knew about the world. Because Negro, black, colored people, they don't study. So they don't know what's going on in the world. All they know is going on in their little box that they call consciousness, which includes unconsciousness. They don't know anything that's going on in the world. Have their own playing them like a fool. Abandoning their own birthright here. Remember, he said that he's home in Philadelphia.
This
When you
is
talk
a
about Africa
demonstration
and
of
China and stuff,
Wirecast.
why don't you talk about the colonizer that's here right now? You talk about the colonizer right now who put out fake stuff against you, that you were with strippers and stuff like that, and that you stole people's finance. These Europeans trying to set you up because you're the prince of Pan-Africanism. How about you deal with them? What you talk about China? What China have to do with us getting enslaved over here? Because when I look around, I see Europeans,
This is a
the
demonstration
ones
of
who got the
Wirecast.
prisons that have us and all that stuff.
Yep.
I'm seeing the same shoes that these guys are wearing have stocks in prisons.
Yep.
And those people look like them. And they don't even care. They're still gonna go buy the shoes or whatever. That they went to China made for $5. With child labor, but you know, that's Chinese children. They got
This is a
jurisdiction over there. They can do
demonstration
whatever
of
they want.
Wirecast.
Don't bring that's their jurisdiction. Just like Chinatown, they got their little, you come here and get a massage and you'll get head or whatever. And ain't no police going in there and telling them about no prostitution or none of that. So you already know how the players play. So don't play around like you're surprised that the Chinese are making contracts with sellout Negroes on the continent, and then they're taking over. It's an elite thing. It's nothing to do with a nation of whoever did something. It's an elite thing. The Europeans taught you that. What do you mean? All people talk about is Rockefeller and Rothschild and whoever did something to them.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
That's not, those aren't nations. That's some families. What are you talking about? Not a nation doing something to you. That's some families created a jurisdiction and your dumbass went in it because you don't have a nationality. You want to be African. And then can't tell me where in Africa you're from. But you're African. And then I ask people, hey, you're from over there, you African? No, I'm Ghanaian or I'm Tasmanian, or they don't talk about their African.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
No, always remember that there's always studying going on. There's information out there that's for the people. Right? There's information out there that's for the people. Right?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Black man of the Nile and his family. Dr. Ben, their scholar guy. Among the many names, Al-Kebulan, the mother of mankind, or Garden of Eden, was called are the following: Ethiopia, Corphi, Ortegia, Libya, and Africa, the latest of all. Al-Kebulan is the oldest and the only one of indigenous origin. It was used by the Moors, by the Nubians, by the Numidians, by the Carthaginians or Carthadans, and Ethiopians. Africa, the current misnomer adopted by almost everyone today, was given to the continent by the Greeks and Romans. So if you're African, you're trying to tell me that
the prince of it.
You're the prince. The prince.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Right? The prince. The prince of a misnomer. And you're taking him serious. And he's a prince of a misnomer.
Yep.
That the scholar who they all recognize, and they went to his funeral and all of that, they're telling you you're not Moors, when he's telling you that the word Al-Kebulan was used by the Moors. He didn't say African or North African or American or whatever. He said the Moors. Who is he talking about? Because you already know, when they say Nubians, they're talking about everybody who looks like us. They're not separating. You know exactly who they're talking about. They say Carthaginians. We think Carthage. Now we have to think Carthadden. What do you mean Carthadden? Is where Carthaginian comes from. This is the scholar, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. All these people know him. How come they're not debating him?
Demonstration of
How are they not debating
Wirecast.
him about the Moors? He said Moors. And if he's talking about indigenous word, then obviously he's not talking about some pale-skinned people. They don't pale indigenous people. Always remember
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
that these people know what's up. They're going to play like they don't know, but trust me, they know what's up.
Well, they've always been there, particularly if you look at the ancestors or relatives, the Hyksos who came down into Africa and participated in the slave trade. They were there, but they were never.
But what are you talking about, Hyksos? Since when Hyksos are Chinese people?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
How is Hyksos Chinese people? China just came about. Hyksos is ancient people. How are you saying Chinese people are Hyksos? How are black people Egyptians? How are African Americans Ethiopians?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Remember, they know they're talking to a dumb public. And their purpose, keep it dumbed down. Keep it dumbed down. Because the people aren't there yet in their mind. They're not ready to know that they're Moors. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
They're not ready to know that they're Moors yet. So we have to keep playing misnomers with them. And then we're going to blame some colonizer for our enslavement mentally. When it's your own keeping you in neutral. And then you just revving the engine. And you don't realize the stuff's not in drive.
This is a
Oh, how come it's
demonstration
not
of
working? The Europeans
Wirecast.
sold me and messed up a lemon. No, you have to put it in drive, dumbass. All these people know.
The primary exploiters and dominators of the continent, at least not in recent times. So the new role that China has in Africa is one of a neo-colonizer, an outright neo-colonizer, which they are hiding under the disguise of being a quote-unquote investor. And in the 21st century, the word investor has replaced the word colonizer. They do exactly.
Investor replaced the word colonizer. So all those people who put finance into your school, aren't those people investors?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So they're letting you know who's funding them.
I didn't know you was gonna go there. I was like, okay, that's where he going with that. You made it on him. You know, people who invested in your school, right? Those are colonizers. Like, how are you just gonna say that?
How you just saying that? Got him.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Got him.
That's to work the people up off of their emotions.
Yeah.
You know,
playing around with people.
Everything is to get the people riled up with emotions. But my thing is too, I'm also shocked the fact that he's mentioning colonization. I'm like, oh, okay, so you know about colonization.
Yeah.
You know where that comes from.
Is a demonstration
On this platform.
Right.
On this platform.
Right. On this now it's colonization. But when we come over here and we talk about us here, it's 400 years of slavery. It's not colonization. Now here, it's crazy. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. You can just say colonization for over there, but when it comes to over here, we just skip the colonization and just say 400 years of
talk
slavery.
emotion. Yeah.
Skip right. They never talk about colonization. Just slavery. 400 years. Jim Crow. March and Picket. They never mentioned colonization. I was even surprised he mentioned European. I mean, he switched it up and said white people, though. He did switch it up. You know, but they kill themselves. I'm like, okay, so you even know that they're not
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And everybody he's mentioning, he mentioned the Chinese, the European, you know, Ghana, but over here, black, like
African.
How did you do that? How are you doing that? Fraud. That's fraud.
Yeah.
Remember, this is their prince.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Pan-Africans. And remember, again, go watch C. Freeman L. too. He makes it very interesting. He gives a story about how he was always looking and researching up the pyramids, Egypt, you know, everything Africa. He said, but it never dawned on him to look up the definition of Africa, so he goes to go look it up. He said he looks in the dictionary for Africa.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And Lord and behold, Africa is not in the definition in the dictionary. Period. The word Africa wasn't even in the dictionary. He said then he found the word Africa. He said, and it was on a map. So he said the definition of Africa means map. I said, yo, this is crazy. I said, how is it? I never thought to think Africa wasn't in the dictionary.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's not even in there.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's not even in there.
Doing the same thing.
My boy, when the so-called Puerto Rican, the Moorish Latin brother, the more that speaks Latin, he was going crazy when he said, yo, Puerto Rican is not even in the Black Law Dictionary. He was so mad. He was like, how is it even in there? I was like, he said, yo, it's not even in there. He said, it's not even nothing. It's not a nothing. It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's not even there.
It's not even in there. It's nothing. He was just amazing. It's nothing. Same thing with Africa. It wasn't in the dictionary. It's nothing.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's just that investor sounds like you're coming to help as opposed to coming to steal. And the reason so many African nations are accepting China's so-called aid, and I hate to call it aid because it's nothing but enslavement, but the reason why so many African countries are accepting it is because the terms are slightly better than the terms of the World Bank, the international.
No. None of that. None of that, buddy.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Why they're not accepting. The reason why they're accepting these people's aid is because, where's this thing at? Is because Muammar Gaddafi. That's why they're accepting China's aid right now, because this stuff was locked down.
This is a demonstration of
Pretty much it was
Wirecast.
over. But you already know where Gaddafi ended up. What were the reasons? Russia TV questioning now. What were the reasons Mr. Gaddafi was killed and NATO invaded Libya? Muammar Gaddafi was certainly not killed for humanitarian reasons.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Mr. Gaddafi wanted to empower Africa. He had a plan to create a new African Union based on a new African economic system. He had a plan to introduce the gold dinar as backing for African currencies so they could become free from the dollar-dominated Western monetary system that kept and keeps usurping Africa.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Africa's vast natural resources, especially oil and minerals. As a first step, he offered this lucrative and very beneficial alternative to other Muslim African states, but leaving it open for any other African countries to join. That's why
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Africa has to go to China now, because not because of IMF and all that stuff, and they're giving them a good interest rate. No, because that's all they got left, because they messed it up by letting Gaddafi get murdered. Gaddafi also wanted to detach his oil sales from the dollar, no longer trading hydrocarbons in US dollars, as was the US OPEC imposed rule since the early 1970s.
Of Wirecast.
Other African and Middle Eastern oil and gas producers would have followed. In fact, Iran had already in 2007 a plan to introduce the Tehran oil bourse, where anyone could trade hydrocarbons in currencies other than the US dollar.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
The idea came to a sudden halt when Bush, George W., started accusing Iran of planning to build a nuclear bomb. Saddam Hussein had the same idea. Gaddafi's new plan for Africa would have meant an entirely new banking system for Africa, away from the now Western, mainly France and UK, central banks dominated African currencies. It would have meant the collapse of the US dollar. So the gold dinar was not to happen. Anybody to this day who threatens the dollar hegemony will have to die. That means anybody other than China and Russia, because they have already a few years ago largely detached their economy from the dollar by implementing hydrocarbons as well as other international contracts in gold or the respective local currencies. Black guy's not going to tell you this stuff. Gaddafi was not only the leader of Libya, he had ambitions to free Africa from the nefarious fangs of the West. Despite being called a dictator and a despot by the West, they do that to anyone who doesn't submit to Washington's rules. He was very much liked by Libyans, by his people. He had a more than 80% approval rate by the Libyan people. Libya's oil fortune had allowed him to create a social system in his country
This
where
is a
everybody would
demonstration of
benefit from their
Wirecast.
land's riches. Free healthcare, free education, including scholarships abroad, modern infrastructure, top-notch technology and medicine, and more. That's why these people have nothing. And then you could just go pull it up. Let's never forget why Muammar Gaddafi was killed. And you can go read it for yourself to remind yourself.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So that you could tell our friends and your friends who like to play games that, you know, China's taking over Africa, so the black man has to leave here and go over there and then help rebuild the African that we used to have as an ancient people. Shut the hell up. These people are playing you out your birthright over here. You're home in Philadelphia.
This
But you're
is
going
a
over there to go
demonstration
and do
of
something over there.
Wirecast.
While they got 1,500 schools in Philadelphia abandoned. You're doing nothing. Doing nothing. But playing games with our people. Islam war.
Islam.
This is a demonstration
And,
of
and the thing that's
Wirecast.
bugging me out is I never hear him, this guy Omar, I never hear him refer to, you know, Federal Reserve notes or the, you know, the whole scam behind that. He always just, you know, still goes on with the fraud, you know. He doesn't promote the, you know, that the gold is the only thing that can be money. You know, he doesn't say any of that. He goes right along with the fraud. The Federal
This
Reserve
is a
notes
demonstration of
helping keep
Wirecast.
European. I didn't know China was doing any of that with the gold contracts. That's different. That's something I would like to go study. And the Gaddafi was doing a lot of work. And it was funny. As soon as I heard what he was doing, I'm like, he just had a lot of sellouts around him.
Yep.
You know, we know one personally that took the notes from him and came back, got a national identification card to get back into Morocco and stuff like that, but never took the notes to help the Moors and just took it to help their little Boys and Girls Club thing. I could see why Gaddafi, and that's the other thing too. I'm like, well, he was just about to do the same thing the Prophet already had done. You know what I mean?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
He was doing the same thing. Make this corporate stuff go away. All this that's the problem. All of that corporate stuff needs to go away.
And he wasn't trying to do that just for Libya. He was doing that for the continent.
Right.
He was doing that for the continent.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Now they're going to come to tell you about complaining about China. Maybe you should have defended Gaddafi. You wouldn't be having no problem with China right now. Instead of playing Negro games with people.
National Monetary Fund, France, or London. Still exploitive, still not in the best interest of Africa or her people, but the terms are slightly better. And what China is doing also well, that they studied from their European predecessors, is that they have mastered the art of paying African heads of state and bureaucrats under the table. The Chinese are extremely corrupt at buying the loyalty and support and connections that they need. And the irony of this is that European countries, particularly America, London, and France, they are taking China to
This
task
is a
at the level of the
demonstration
World
of
Court for
Wirecast.
being so corrupt, which is interesting because that's like the pot calling the kettle black. That's
Exactly.
exactly how y'all exploited Africa, but now the white man
Hold
wants
on,
to
that's
expose the
my bear
brown
chief.
man for
Hold on,
basically
Lord.
learning.
That's he can't. That's total contradiction. You can't call these. He's trying to make it seem as if they selling out by getting paid under the table. These people do the same thing here. They promote that black agenda and get paid to do that.
Mhm.
They're getting paid to
This
sell
is a
out. It's the same
demonstration
thing.
of
They're getting paid
Wirecast.
under the table to hold these debates. They getting paid under the table to go up there and have lectures about black children and the system and all of this. You know, that's their language, but they getting paid under the table to do that. What's the difference? What's the difference? And they getting paid by European colonists under the table to do all of that.
What's the difference? For real.
What's the difference? It's the same thing. I can't believe he even called them out
This
like
is a
that. I'm like,
demonstration
wait a
of
minute.
Wirecast.
That's the same thing you're doing. You're even worse. You took your own people's so-called finance and did whatever with it. Under the guise that you were going to help whatever with such and such black, quote unquote black children. That's his whole thing. To get paid by promoting that. That whole scam was to get paid under the table by saying you were going to build a school
This is
in
a
the guise
demonstration
of
of Wirecast.
helping quote unquote black children. That's a scam. It's the same. You got paid under the table to do it. That's the whole thing. You did that. That's what he did. I can't believe he's saying this. That's what he did. He did that. He got paid.
Well,
Not
yeah.
even under the table. Everybody knows that he's getting paid to do this.
Well, yeah. We're only 6 minutes in.
This is
That's
a
amazing.
demonstration of Wirecast.
His techniques and applying them better than he could.
Wow. Wow.
So, Dr. Umar, you mentioned neo-colonialism, and most of us, at least who have at least read a book, we understand what colonialism is, how strategic it is, what it looks like. So, outside of China's footprint, are we seeing sort of China bringing their culture, their belief systems, all of that as part of this whole neo-colonialism move? Are we seeing that on the continent?
Wirecast.
Yes, we are definitely seeing that. There's four main reasons why China is so very interested in Africa. Number one, whoever controls African resources controls the world.
Now, again, you can go out, get this one. Vijay Prashad. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Afro-Asian connections
This is a
and the myth
demonstration
of
of
cultural purity.
Wirecast.
In this landmark work, historian Vijay Prashad refuses to engage the typical racial discussion that matches people of color against each other while institutionalizing the primacy of the white majority. Instead, he examines more than 5 centuries of remarkable historical evidence of cultural and political interaction between blacks and Asians around the world, in which they have exchanged cultural and
This
religious
is a
symbols,
demonstration of
appropriated
Wirecast.
personas and lifestyles, and working together to achieve political change. So this is not some they are just coming into Africa today. This is not some they're just coming into Africa today. These people been had relations with each other.
This is a
And
demonstration
us
of
as the foreigner
Wirecast.
looking in because we're from over here. Our descendants, our ancestry is from there. But us, we're from over here. I don't know anything about across Atlantics and stuff like that. I don't know what you're talking about. Because when I look around here, I see that we got civilization that was over here that probably as good as or better than what's over there.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Great.
Black Panthers, Red Guards. In this reading, I learned that the Red Guard Party strategically adopted methods used by the Black Panthers to make a stand about Asian discrimination in America, while simultaneously creating solidarities with other opposed minority groups in segregated America. How come there's no acknowledgement of the connections that obviously show that there is some relation
This is a demonstration
between
of
us
Wirecast.
and between them, and that this relation is not something new. So don't get mad that we have it messed up. And the only reason we have it messed up because we're messed up, because everybody still has their nationality except us. The dark skinned people of the planet playing around. They want to be corporations, posing as countries, and say they're citizens of that. Alex Hing, Red Guard founder. I'm curious about the strong connection you had with the Panthers. You even had your own 10-point program. We were affected, everyone in our generation, with a yearning to breathe free, to break away from this stultifying society. A group in Lewes, a Chinatown youth pool hall and non-profit agency, formed because we couldn't get jobs. We were targets of police. These are my friends. I grew up with them. A handful of us were closely following the Black Panther Party. They were arming themselves, and they were talking politics. At the time, we felt an extreme urgency because police were killing people, putting us in jail. My cousin was handcuffed and beaten to death in prison. People think this doesn't happen to Chinese people. Nah. This was why armed self-defense wasn't just rhetoric, some macho thing we thought was cool. This is what we were facing.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We decided we needed to be a conscious core of revolutionaries, and then we made contact with the Panthers. We felt an extreme urgency because police were killing people, putting us in jail. We grew up in a building where almost every unit was performing artists. Singers, dancers, you name it. People selling Chinese opera music. This was in Chinatown. My mother, she told me that in junior high school, she signed us all up for the orchestra. She said she did this because she wanted us to understand that every time we hear music, somebody has to work to make it. Why are these Chinese working with the Panthers?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Chinese and Panthers linking up, and these people are talking about China's trying to take over something? No, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. Yeah. Something does not make sense right now. Because there's no way that these people are supposed to be enemies. To the point where one's exploiting another one like that. And if that is happening,
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
just like Noble Drew Ali said, he traveled down to the south, and it was the conditions of the people. It wasn't what some Europeans were doing. It's not what some Chinese people are doing. It's what these people allow to happen. Because if we were unified in the 60s, we were unified. And they were getting murdered just like us.
This is
And
a
they saw us
demonstration of
being active
Wirecast.
in politics. They saw us being active. And they adopted what we were doing. And we already know that Panthers were on some constitution and all that. They weren't some black guys marching, picketing. They were about rights. They were about rights. They were about knowing the Constitution.
This is a demonstration
They were
of
about
Wirecast.
free food programs. They weren't about 5,000 for a package. Somebody's playing around some way, shape, or form. It's not like there aren't corrupt Chinese people.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I'm not gonna play that white man stuff and you know do the same thing and have all white people are the devil and all that type of stuff. Oh, all Chinese people are evil. Oh no, this is an elite thing. The same elite people in China raping their own at home or whatever like that now found new victims. Why?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Even in South Africa, remember, we talked about this, but all you new people, you might not have heard. In South Africa, in 2008, Chinese were classified as black so they can benefit economically. What do you think those people are going to do in 10 years? You don't think they're going to take over?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Think about this. Chinese people went to South Africa and they were classed as colored at one time. Then one time they were classed as white. Then they were classed as blacks.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
This is 2008 though. And then here we are today talking about how come they're going over there and they can do whatever, because these so-called Africans already gave them jurisdiction.
This is a demonstration
High
of
Court
Wirecast.
ruled that Chinese South Africans must be one of these tags in order to have jurisdiction there in business. Critics have said that the schemes have largely only benefited the country's new black elite. We're telling you, this is an elite thing. This is not some all Chinese people are going in there and they're raping the place. But know that those people are like ants. You'll see one, and then you look
This
two
is a
times, and then there's a
demonstration
whole
of
trail,
Wirecast.
and all of them are going toward the stuff. And they're gonna break it down, and then take it all back to the nest. Why? Because that's how their national mindset is. On some different levels than some Africans, and some completely different levels than some unconscious Moors.
This is a demonstration of
Islam,
Wirecast.
Islam, man. Grand Sheik.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to yield the floor. Something's wrong with my mobile veins.
All right, yo. Yeah, do your thing more. We'll connect,
Yeah,
yo.
let me see what's going on.
Yeah,
All
do
right,
your thing.
Islam.
Islam more.
All right, Islam.
Right.
That has always been. The white man would not be what he is in London or America had it not been for its exploitation of African resources, beginning with its people through slavery, and then after with the resources. So everyone knows that there are certain commodities that you must have in order to operate a nation, in order to develop your technological systems, in order to advance your military. Coltan, okay, manganese, the diamonds, the gold, the oil. Most of the world's untapped oil and gas reserves are in Africa. They're even estimating that Africa has more gas and oil than even the Middle East has. So you can't live without Africa. No country can survive without Africa. So whoever can control those resources actually controls everyone else around the planet. So that's number one, the geopolitical supremacy that it will give you by dominating and controlling Africa's wealth. That's the main reason why China is involved. Number two, China is overpopulated. Overpopulated. They have almost 2 billion people living in that country. And although China is a pretty large country, it's not large enough for the 2 billion that they have. So they're constantly looking for new places to offload their excess population. What better place to do that than in Africa, where there's a lot of land and area that is underdeveloped or undeveloped?
The places. So what makes you think they're gonna go and develop the underdeveloped places if the people who've been there haven't developed the underdeveloped places? Now it'll be a feat if they, you know what I mean, take that desert and turn that into something. That'll be pretty crazy. That's them taking some underdeveloped and developing. Because remember, 2008, they were getting classified as black so they could do business there. And nobody had any issue with it. Nobody wasn't arguing. High court ruled it. Nobody appealed anything. This is a
demonstration of Wirecast.
And now they're complaining. Now they're complaining for stuff that they let happen because of their negligence. Abandoning their birthright over there for bowls of red porridge.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Sell their self out. Let Gaddafi get assassinated. And he was going to save them. Their salvation was going to come. For everybody. They didn't defend him. They played their little nigger games over there. And now they have nothing, and now they're complaining.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
That the Chinese can come in and exploit and create new communities for its poor people. That's number two. Number three, because of the devaluation of African currency, China is looking towards Africa because they'll be able to pay Africans less than what they pay Chinese. This is a critical reason for why many Chinese corporations are now relocating to Africa outside of China. It's no different than why many American corporations have left this country and have went to second and third world nations because they can save more money. They can make more because you can pay the workers less. They don't have the advanced child labor laws or the minimum wage laws that we have here in America. They don't have the paid medical leave. They don't have the Home Medical Leave Act. They don't have to worry about that. So putting your corporation in Africa, where where brothers and sisters are struggling to make.
But why? This is supposed to be the mineral rich and all that stuff, and it's only
This
African
is a demonstration of
leaders that are
Wirecast.
there and all, and then now you're mad about sellouts again. When you have to deal with that right here. And you're not even paying attention to that over here. You're talking about some stuff going on over there when your home, as you say, is Philadelphia. If your home is over here, why are you so quick to run away from dealing with your problems at home? But that's that Negro mentality. They got mommy, daddy
This
issues.
is a
They never dealt with.
demonstration of Wirecast.
And then they're going out in the world and mad at everybody else for their BS that they never solved in their life, for their responsibility that they never took when they became an adult. Don't pass it on. Deal with your stuff. Because we know that it's a fraud. Telling you, the Asians and the Africans have a solidarity constitution.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
What you mean? What do you mean? They got Afro-Asian People Solidarity Organization and uniting with each other. And you're telling me about some black mindset that you're taking over there, have these people confused now?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Thinking that it's some enemy, whatever going on? When these people straight just jack their stuff because they want to be colored, they want to be corporate citizens, lost their stuff just like we lost our stuff over here. And then thing about China's the new white man and all this stupid stuff. Why they got constitution for?
This is a demonstration of
Between
Wirecast.
themselves. Why? Why don't they invoke some of this instead of complaining? Why you bring up the fact that they're supposed to be in unity with you, opposed to not giving you jobs and all this BS you're complaining about? But no matter where they are,
This
niggas don't
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Niggas don't read.
Ends meet, they will work for whatever you can pay them because there's no other option. So that's another thing. They can really exploit the African worker. Okay, and then another reason why they're so invested in Africa is because it is a very convenient market to offload all of your cheap goods. Keep in mind, China is the Walmart of the planet.
Yes.
Walmart can't even compete with China. Anything that needs to be made is being made in China. It's not authentic, it's not original, it may not work as well, but China is the master of the counterfeit product. As such, China can dump tens of millions of dollars worth of useless junk, fake Jordans, fake chains, fake this, bad food. Basically, anything that China can't sell anywhere else, they can sell in Africa.
But why? Why? Why is it that anything else that they can sell in Africa? And why are they so dumbed down? Oh yeah, just like the ones over here that are dumbed down. All they spend finance on is liquor and church and fast food and entertainment. And they don't put any of the billions of dollars that they have a year toward them being free mentally.
This is a demonstration of
It's the same
Wirecast.
stateless position. It's the exact same stateless stuff going on. It's being played out for us to see that fraud has no statute of limitations. So if people are going to say that they're African when they have an ancient ancestral
This
name,
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
but they don't want to be that. They want to be some modern stuff. Then fraud continues. Same thing that's going on over here with people calling themselves black instead of saying they're Moors.
Africa is China's dollar store.
Wow. And what I'm reading, I'm seeing now where they're dumping harmful chemical waste now in Africa. They're trying to fight back against the Chinese are coming over and dumping their waste that they don't want on their homeland in Africa.
Well, here's the thing. To your point, the Chinese are involved in a lot of illegal mining, fishing, and drilling all throughout the continent.
But they're involved in illegal mining and fishing in their own country. What the hell are you talking about?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
They have whole communities in China to house thousands of people that all of them are empty. They have malls in China where there's only one store in the mall because nobody could rent it because it's $8 million a month.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And one guy got into some BS contract. And now he's stuck paying $1 million a month for rent in a mall where he sells one thing every 4 days.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So don't try to make this thing sound like they're coming to Africa to do corrupt stuff. They've been doing corrupt stuff in their own country. These people play you. You have your own backyard to clean up. Stop worrying about other people's backyard and clean your own backyard.
Illegal, but they're getting away with it. Why are they getting away with it? They are paying locals to watch their back and to protect their interests. They're also paying off traditional rulers who are not letting the government know what they are illegally allowing the Chinese to do. So the reason they're getting away with all this, the illegal dumping, the illegal fishing, the illegal drilling, in fact, as far as the illegal dumping goes, even in Ghana we heard about that, and a lot of brothers and sisters are concerned that it's killing the wildlife. So they said the Chinese are coming in and they are literally causing a holocaust with many of the animal populations on the continent. Why is nothing being done about it? Because they are paying people not to prosecute.
Wow. Wow.
No, a lot of the infiltration, as far as, I mean, very subtle from what you explained. Could a lot of this be maybe avoided, or could there be could this be blocked by, let's say, leaders that maybe was not corrupt? Is corrupt leadership in Africa a part of the problem?
Yes, but let us be clear.
Okay.
African leaders are no more corrupt than any other. Donald Trump is corrupt. Barack Obama was corrupt. George Bush. Most leaders around the world are corrupt because that's the way politics works.
Yes.
The reason we hear so much about African corruption is because of the lack of access to wealth. So even if you are an elected official, you may still be struggling to make ends meet. So whenever you have a country where the quality of life isn't sufficient enough to allow people a decent opportunity to take care of their families, anyone who comes in with an opportunity will always be able to pay their way through their schemes in Africa. So this Chinese exploitation by way of deception and corruption, it can happen in any country. It's just that in Africa, because of colonization, see, the white man wants to blame the black politician for the corruption in Africa.
Right.
No, he is to blame for the corruption in Africa.
Yes, sir.
You're the one that colonized the country. You're the one.
Now, it's interesting that they're going to be talking about yes, sir, and all that stuff, but on their page, on their YouTube page, Let's Free the People, they got Taj speaking on sovereignty and land rights and
This
voluntary
is a
enslavement
demonstration
and more.
of Wirecast.
Now, hold on a second. Because it's a contradiction to know the master teacher sit in the lecture, class, meeting, record it, and then you bring the black guy on to come tell people about some BS.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Now, it's real interesting that they got Taj Tariq Bey on their page, 2 hours. The Constitution of Man. But then
this is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Talking crazy. So wrong how people are selling out. It's so wrong. Because you can't know this much and be telling people about this stuff, right?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
That controlled the resources. You're the one that devalued the currency. And even more recently, you're also the one that when colonization ended, and this is a very important point, when independence came to the different African countries in succession, the Europeans and the French, the Portuguese, they sabotaged their colonies on the way out the door. So what they would do, they would sabotage the water. They would blow up the different buildings that they built. They would sabotage the railroad. They made those countries almost unlivable on their way out the door. So then the new African leadership said, what are you doing? We need this. And then the white man said, well, we built this. So if y'all don't want us to keep on destroying it and sabotaging you on the way out, you're going to have to pay us for the infrastructure that we built. Now, keep in mind, why do we have to pay you for anything after you done robbed us of everything from our people to our...
Because,
This
just
is
like
a
taxes,
demonstration
if
of
you have no
Wirecast.
status, it applies to you. Real simple. It's not rocket science. Those sellout Africans made those deals with those Europeans in order for them to get colonized. Just go read How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. They have that book too in their stuff. And in the book, he talks about China being in slavery and Europe being in slavery and Africa being in slavery. And it's not just a one-way
demonstration
thing
of Wirecast.
that was going on. The only issue is that we never got nationalized. We're playing continents and adjectives and misnomers. So we get nothing. Nobody really taught us that in the 1900s. That it's the conditions of our people that have us messed up. It's not what somebody's doing to us that's why we're messed up.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
These people made deals with these foreigners in their own land, just like people over here made deals with foreigners in their own land. Instead of holding them to the obligations that they were supposed to be held to, in order so they don't go run amok.
Our products for more than 100 years because they were in charge. And so African countries being desperate not to lose any more of the infrastructure that they had, they signed off on these unfair payment plans, loans, if you would, debts that they would have to pay to the European on his way out so they wouldn't further sabotage the infrastructure that they built.
And we see that transpiring right now in Haiti. And Haiti is another good example. Not to mention that, and they sabotaged the infrastructure in Haiti too. With the water, they was found. They actually took it to the United Nations where they found cholera, something in the water, and they had to admit that they did it. This was a few years back.
To your point, America wants to exterminate the Haiti.
What continent want to do something to somebody? This is the degree guy. Degree guy is telling you a
This is a
continent
demonstration of Wirecast.
wants to do something to somebody. A continent wants to go do something to somebody else. When you heard them already talk earlier about European and all that, so they know what's up. Why are they switching up stuff so much? Oh, to cause confusion, keep the people glazed over. Keep the people in daydream mode, just staring into nothingness, while stuff around them is going on.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I believe that there is a concerted effort to exterminate the Haitian population because America would love to have Haiti as a geopolitical military base so that it can keep an eye on Cuba and keep an eye on Venezuela and keep an eye on any other Central South American and Caribbean governments that are hostile to American foreign policy. So I believe the Haitian people need to be extremely careful. I mean, they're doing it in Africa too, but it's going to take much longer. They're doing it to Black America, but they have to be more Machiavellian because as they exterminate us, they don't want to exterminate the whites. But in Haiti, it's right in the back door of America. You know, it's not as large as Africa. It's extremely close. They don't have to worry about targeting whites while they target blacks. And so I'm very concerned about the Haitian situation. In fact, that earthquake that struck Haiti years ago, which was done by the United States government, that was one of its tactics to reduce the population there.
Yeah, it was interesting how that's one island, but Haiti was the only one that got the brunt of the earthquake. It's interesting.
Exactly. Well, Hugo Chavez, who they killed, by the way, the CIA killed Hugo Chavez. Before he died, he said that the Haitian earthquake was meant for Venezuela. He said that.
Wow. Back on Africa, I just find it fascinating how so many of our African brothers and sisters are running from Africa, flocking to these other continents, while the Chinese are flocking to Africa. I mean, how does, the lot, I'm just trying to figure that one out. It's like you are running from your homeland for your life, and other people are coming to it as a gold mine for them, for prosperity. The dynamics in that is crazy to me.
They are, but the difference between the African that is seeking a better life outside of Africa and the people who come into Africa to invest and become rich almost overnight is that the people who come to Africa come with access to wealth. The indigenous African doesn't have access to wealth. If he were able to access wealth, he would certainly stay at home. he would certainly stay at home. But the problem is he's not able to access it. And I haven't seen anything from any African government, and there may be a few exceptions, but I haven't seen anything yet that shows me that African governments or the African Union, okay, as an institution, is doing anything to empower indigenous Africans to build up their own corporations, institutions, industries, and enterprises. I don't see that. And that is a big concern, because if you do not invest in African people so that they can invest in Africa, ultimately it's just going to be a matter of time before Africa has been totally recolonized again, because the Chinese has access.
Stop bitching, because you let Gaddafi get murdered. Everything was over. Everything was over. But nah, y'all want to play continents.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
You want to play continents, now you're paying for it, and you're mad. And then the ones over here playing continents, and then now they're going over there with their stateless self to try to do something for some stateless people over there when they're stateless too. And then they haven't even dealt with their issues here. This is why negative karma keeps following our people.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So we do it to ourselves.
To unlimited wealth. The European Jew has access to unlimited wealth. Not to mention, we have the Arabs in Africa, we have the East Indians in Africa, we have the Lebanese in Africa. We have everybody in Africa getting rich. Why? Because they can access wealth. They show up with loans from their native country. They bring that money to Africa and they get rich overnight. The only way you're going to combat that is if African nations and the African Union start investing in African people.
Yes. And I'm saying,
Well, African Union, they killed Gaddafi. Why would the African Union that destroyed the supreme plan to put the earth back on its axis, slow everything down, get time back to where it was,
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
going in the right direction again? What do you mean they're gonna do something? These are the same people who that you said earlier sold out. How now are you asking them to do something? How are you telling them invest in their own when you just said they sold out? If they sold out, why would you put any attention to them?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Unless you know that this is a game. Keep the people deaf, dumb, and blind.
and that with the president of Ghana with the whole year return, this whole thing of joining the Africans here in America with the Africans on that continent. To me, I think he's very forward thinking, more so than a lot of the other presidents on the continent, other countries, because he understands the power of our unification.
Not only that, I believe that although he definitely respects and wanted to commemorate the 1619, 2019, 400 years of Africans being stolen into America, although I know he, sincerely wanted to commemorate this quadricentennial from a strategic standpoint, and I've said this before, I believe the year of return was a strategy by the president of Ghana to interest Africans abroad into coming home and investing in Africa, but so that we could slow down the Chinese onslaught and takeover of Africa.
They have 1 billion
This
people.
is a demonstration
You
of
have 3,000.
Wirecast.
What the hell are you talking about? What investments are black guys going to bring to Africa that's going to trump 1 billion people's investments? Loans that they get from their country, bring in there. On top of that, go in there under the white or black status. And then getting all the benefits.
This is a demonstration of
Black guys go
Wirecast.
there, they're going there as foreigner. Remember, Africa's in Asia. Africa's South Asia. Just like over here, South America is not called something different. It's called America too. The same thing with over there.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Africa is Asia. Asia South. Then Asia North. Just like over here. Just like over here.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
That's what I believe this was really about. It was, and I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did it, and I'm glad he did it the way he did it, because he couldn't come out and say, listen, y'all better come in, and y'all better invest in Africa before these Chinese buy us up all over again. And I believe the year of return was a strategy to help push back on the Chinese invasion.
Wow, yeah, smart move, smart move.
One of the questions that I often hear asked, Dr.
This
Umar,
is a demonstration of
all
Wirecast.
of these different countries in Africa, having their different struggles, specifically with their own leadership oftentimes, or allowing the Chinese to come in and pretty much colonize their countries. Oftentimes I would hear the people in the diaspora ask the question, then why even try to go back there? Because it's almost like leaving one beast to go and fight another beast. Why not fight the beast that you're familiar with?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Great question. The reason why it is more advantageous for us to go back to Africa and fight against corrupt African leadership or fight against Chinese, European, Jewish neo-colonialism is because you can actually win in Africa. You can't.
No, because you're cowards. That's why. Because you guys know that the European is your God and you're terrified of your God, the European. And you'll never take the position of what Noble Drew Ali said,
This
that make
is a
these
demonstration
Europeans
of
look death in the
Wirecast.
face so they can yield off your back. Never. Why? Because these people are cowards. They're passive. They have beasts here right now killing people. They're talking about leave here, pack your stuff up, go over there, somewhere where you don't even know language or anything like that, and have some type of impact in society.
This is a demonstration of
Now, maybe if your name is
Wirecast.
Jay-Z or something like that, you can go over there and make some impact. But you know the guy you live with down the street, you pack up all your stuff, and you're going over there to talk about, yeah, go back home to the continent to go live. You're begging for karma. Why? Because you have grass here you didn't cut yet. And you're going somewhere else trying to tell them about help. Well, I'm going to help them cut their grass on their lawn.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Have your wife looking at you like a dumbass. So I must walk through the bushes while this guy's wife gets to walk on the freshly cut stuff barefoot and all that. Playing ourselves. Running from dealing with what we got ourselves into over here.
This is a demonstration of
We want
Wirecast.
to deal with our issue that we have over here. We want to pretend that, we didn't just break mom's favorite glass or whatever like that. Sweep that under some stuff and just leave the house, the door. She won't notice her favorite glass is broken because I'm smart. Playing ourselves. Remember,
This is a demonstration of
they're saying you can
Wirecast.
go over there and you'll be free over there. Have you heard what kind of complaints Africans are complaining about? They're from there and they're complaining. What do you think you going there as a foreigner is going to get from some Chinese? Who they already know that they came there, took your status, just like what Europeans did over here. So these people want to play autochthonous Indians
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
and not want to be who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were.
Can't win here. That's the reason. So, for example, we can build another Tulsa. We can build another Rosewood. We can build another Wilmington, North Carolina. We can build another Durham, North Carolina. We can build another Charleston, South Carolina. But they will be burned down again. Because as a numerical minority in the United States of America who do not control the land, the borders, the water, the resources, or the military, there's no way we can win and wage a war against the United States government. But in Africa, where we numerically dominate, where we have control of the land, where we have the knowledge of the land and the control.
You have no control on no land. You just said that these people sold it out to China. What control of some land do you have when you go over there? What are you talking about? You just said over there is colonized. You just said all these African leaders allow these Chinese people to come in there and colonize. And now
This
you're
is
talking
a
about you have land
demonstration
over
of
there. You have majority.
Wirecast.
What majority? Everybody's a sellout, according to what you're saying. Because really, it's the leadership. It's not going to be the common people, because you're claiming a leader over here. You're not going to a leader over here, then you go over there to be a common person. Or you going over there to talk with the leaders. If you have no conversation with leaders, then what the hell are you going over there for? Might as well just stay here, because you're going to be doing the same thing over there as you're doing here right now.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Of the resources, although it will be just as tough of a fight, you can win it because you are on native soil with 2 billion native brothers and sisters. That's why the war must be fought in Africa, not America.
Well, what do you say to those? I hear them now. What do you say to those who will say, I'm from America. I'm indigenous American.
Don't know nothing about Africa.
I don't know nothing about
This
Africa.
is a demonstration
I'm not
of
going back
Wirecast.
there. We were the original Indians. And so,
It's true. We were the original Indians. It's true. We were here before slavery. It's true. We are indigenous to America, but indigenous to America.
So if we were here before slavery, why are we celebrating some 400 years of slavery BS? Why are we listening to Ghana telling us about some 400 years of slavery and year of the return?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We were here before Columbus. If we're African and we came over here before Columbus, if we're African and we traveled over here before Columbus came over here, what slavery are you talking about? Because we means himself. And I mean, like we're saying, these people know what's up. Because
this is a demonstration of
they have
Wirecast.
played around so much with not letting people know really what's going on. So this is a Frederick Douglass guy. Right? Frederick Douglass guy. And this is the Frederick Douglass Papers. So this is the Frederick Douglass Papers. Not until 1881 did Douglass publicly reveal the details of escape of his escape
This
from
is a
slavery.
demonstration of
On the
Wirecast.
3rd of September 1838, he boarded a train bound north from Baltimore. Douglass had borrowed the uniform and seaman's protection papers of a free black friend in Baltimore. He got out of slavery using freeman papers?
This
If his
is a
ancestor got out of
demonstration of
slavery using
Wirecast.
freeman papers, how is he talking against us being free people today? If he could use freeman papers to get out of slavery, obviously him and the freeman were relative people. And if him and the freeman were relative and the freeman was never a slave, what are we talking about?
This is a demonstration of
Some 400
Wirecast.
years. If the guy who these people honor got out of slavery using freeman papers, he used freeman papers, and then the guy who's repping for him is telling you about it's not about being a freeman, it's not about being a Moor,
This is a
and having your
demonstration of
papers,
Wirecast.
judicial proclamation, name correction, that's papers. That's freeman papers.
America is not the same as having your origin in America. Everyone in America who is African came from Africa. There is no proof,
This is a
no
demonstration
conclusive
of
proof
Wirecast.
that life originated on this continent at the same time or earlier than it originated in Africa. Even when you study all of the early indigenous cultures of the North, South, and Central American continents, there is undisputable evidence that they brought that culture with them from Africa. You look at the pyramids in
So if we brought this culture with us from over there to over here,
This is a demonstration
what are
of
you talking about?
Wirecast.
400 years of some slavery BS. It can't be both. It can't be that we came over here. So we came over here as slaves and we came over here as free people. Stop the BS. Stop it. Stop the BS.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
You could be Moors and be free like Frederick Douglass, but nah, you don't want that. You want to be serfs. You want to be African black guys. And remember, don't forget, right? They got Taj on their stuff talking about voting.
This is a
Part 2.
demonstration of Wirecast.
So they can't pretend like they don't know. They go to the classes at Everlasting Life. They record the classes at Everlasting Life and upload them to YouTube. There's no way that you're going to go sit at a Taj class and you not declare and
This is a
proclaim your nationality
demonstration of
right after.
Wirecast.
No way. It's impossible. Because I've seen people. I've been to many lectures where unconscious people heard about Moors and finally a Moor is coming to town and then they go to the lecture. After the lecture, they want to know how to be a Moor. Especially if they went to a Taj lecture. They're not
This is a
going to be
demonstration of
Negro after they
Wirecast.
go to a Taj lecture or class or meeting or conference or debate or whatever. You're not leaving there Negro. You're going to want to leave there as a Moor if you go to his thing. So you have all these stuff up. You have all these on your stuff. And you're telling me that you don't know? He's talking about bonds and claims and all that stuff, class. And you're telling me
This is a
about
demonstration
some
of
slave trade
Wirecast.
in some 400 years and we need to go back to Africa? What are you doing at this then? Why are you at these, recording and uploading this on your channel?
In Mexico, they brought that culture with them from Africa. You look at the money, the hairstyles, the spirituality. They brought it with them from Africa, nor did they hide the fact that they were African. Even in Africa, there is documentation of how they came back and forth to America. Christopher Columbus, who spent a few nights in one of the slave dungeons in Ghana, by the way, before he came to America, was given a map that showed him how to get there. Us coming to America before the slave trade is no secret. The only issue is you got self-hating Negroes who don't want to be African because they've been taught that there's nothing good about Africa, who want to cut themselves off genetically, biologically,
Oh no, it ain't. We studied, and we know that indigenous Africans are Moors. That's what Dr. Ben said. I don't know what these people are talking about. But Dr. Ben taught us that indigenous Africans are Moors. It's right there. That's what he said. And he said the indigenous African Moors were slave masters over Europeans. Moors of African origin. African Moors. So they're going to recognize Pietro Alonso Nino as the Moor who helped Christopher Columbus get over here and brought the slaves over here, but then I recognize that they're African Moors too, just like Nino. Let me tell you that Africans are Arabs. Tell you that the Africans and Asians are Moors.
Of Wirecast.
Historians, Western historians, continually try to impress everyone that the Moors were an Arab people, carefully forgetting that there were two types of Moors: the African Moors and the African and Asian Moors.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
The African Moors and the African and Asian Moors. Yeah. No.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Clearly they're playing. Clearly they're playing.
Anthropologically. Now, you can argue that you're not from Africa in theory. In theory, you can argue anything. But show me the anthropological evidence that proves you did not come from Africa. If you DNA test any of these Negroes who say they're not from Africa, guess what's going to come up? Ghana. Guess what's going to come up? Nigeria. Guess what's going to come up? Sierra Leone. I would like to see all these indigenous, aboriginal, wannabe Indians.
Oh, forget about Aboriginal, indigenous, wannabe Indians. How accurate are these tests when it comes to determining ethnicity and genealogy? Talking about a DNA test. We don't really know because the companies selling these services don't share their data. Their methods are not validated by any independent group of scientists, and they are not agreed upon standards of accuracy. People have sent their DNA to several of these companies and found differences in the results, though not necessarily radical differences. So you have to look at the percentages you receive back with skepticism. You have to be a skeptic.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
You can't take DNA tests serious. They're telling you that DNA ancestry tests are some BS. What are they trying to tell you to do? Go give finance to some of these companies or whatever. That's supposed to be not, because we don't got no scientists, no labs and all that stuff. Talk about we're doing some DNA tests for somebody.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
But we're going to go with that. That's why we're African, because we went and got a DNA test from some colonizer.
Do a DNA test and let's see if it comes up Choctaw and Cherokee. It's going to come up that they from Africa like the rest of us.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
tied and connected to this land. Maybe I do get it, but I don't understand how.
Because we love white folks. We love white folks. For me, because I don't really waste a lot of time with these Aboriginal arguments. For me, it's just a good, convenient excuse to hide the fact that you love white folks, you want to stay around white folks, and you want to integrate with white folks. This whole Aboriginal, Native American nonsense is nothing but an excuse to love white folks. Because here's the question. What is your solution? So let's say for a minute we concede that they are indigenous to America, that they did not come from Africa. It's absurd, but for the sake of conversation, let's say that is true. Okay, now, you're not from Africa, but you do recognize that we're all the same people, but you didn't come from there. What is your solution to the problems that face African people in this country? What is the solution?
What is the problems you're talking about? Because you're making a very broad statement about what is the solution. What is the solution to what? Obesity? What is the solution to mental health? What is the solution to what? Because there's not going to be any one thing that is going to assist our people out of the mess that we're in right now. Now, in the 1900s, that one thing was nationality. And if everybody said that they were nationality and they followed the protocol, like Dr. Chancellor Williams told these people that they need to be recognized as Moors, and Dr. Ben told these people that Africans are Moors and Asians are Moors and Arabs are Moors, and you need to stop playing around like that's not you. And they told you in 1961, Indian replaced Moor. And then 2019, they still got Indians around here running around talking BS. You still got black guys running around talking BS. You still have people trying to convince themselves that they're not Moors or whatever.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Anything they want because they're the gods of the planet. All that is fiction. All that is fiction. And remember, Frederick Douglass got out of slavery using freedman papers, which is judicial proclamation and name correction. And he dressed not like a nigger.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Walked out of slavery. We have all the solutions as Moors, guaranteed. It's just, are people going to be responsible enough when they get the solution? And we already know they're not going to be, because they're going to turn coward and then run out of here and take their energy to Africa to go over there and get treated like crap from their own.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Because their own knows that they're not from over there. But hey, you're going to come here, build our stuff up. Shit, here's our check. You're going to help us build our stuff up, and you're going to leave your house all messed up. Hey, they'll gladly have celebrations for you talking about some slave BS when you know you came over here before some Columbus. Contradiction and hypocrisy.
Even if you believe you're from here, what is the solution? Do you really think the United States government is going to give you a couple states? Do you realize that the white man killed his own brother, the bloodiest war in American history until Vietnam in the Civil War? He killed his own cousin, uncle, grandpa to keep America from being split into two countries. The Civil War was about preventing America from being split into two countries. So you mean to tell me he would kill hundreds of thousands of his own family members, but he's going to turn around after doing that and 150 years later give a couple states to some Negroes that he wouldn't even give to some whites?
No, we're not. They don't give us no states and all that stuff. You people just have to stop being cowards and running from handling the issue, which is the European colonizer. Handle your issues home and then go abroad and try talking about you're going to help somebody abroad. Don't run from your problems here. We have remedy here.
This
All we
is a
need to do is have
demonstration
a
of
nationality.
Wirecast.
All you need to do is have a nationality. Declare and proclaim that you have a nationality. All day. That's all they do. Play games. Pacify the people. Have the people dumbed down to the point where they can't think for themselves. Once you have the people to that point,
This
have
is a
them running the
demonstration
treadmill
of
forever.
Wirecast.
And you just keep creating all these different stuff for them to put their finance to help for them to be free people and all this stuff when you're full of BS. Because if you're so African, why don't you go build your school there? Why are you building a school here? If you're African and you're from Africa and Africa is home and all that stuff, then why are you still here?
This
What's the
is a
purpose of being here
demonstration of
still?
Wirecast.
If you're African and the Ghanaians are telling you come back home and all that, and they've been telling you that for the past 25 years. They're rolling out the red carpet for you. Go back home. No. You want to do that?
Right, folks, you are out of your mind. For me, I like to begin with the solution in mind. Even if all your theories are correct, what is your solution? Because guess what? You can be theoretically correct and strategically incorrect. See, even if your facts on your history are correct, your facts on the future and how we ought to obtain liberation can be totally incorrect. We are.
No, the only way liberation is to free yourself of contracts. Look it up, Black's Law Dictionary. You're supposed to be a scholar guy. Look in the dictionary under liberation. It'll tell you one who's free. Frederick Douglass, your ancestor,
This is a
was
demonstration
liberated
of
because he
Wirecast.
had freedman papers to get himself out of being a slave. How come you don't follow your ancient foremothers and forefathers and stop being a sellout? But they won't stop being sellouts because, like we said, they got Taj all up on their stuff. They got debates with Taj on there. They're at Everlasting Life. They got Kementu Bay up on their stuff and all that. but they're playing this black stuff with Umar Johnson.
This is a
Trying to
demonstration of
convince you
Wirecast.
that they're about our people's freedom and liberation. Right.
Not from America. We are from Africa, every last one of us. And as I always say, any Negro we say you ain't now African, roll up your sleeves, get some blood, and let's see what comes back. We'll prove that your ass is African.
Ashe. Shouldn't we get to a point where, and I hate to use this word as it pertains to us, because I know we talk a lot about unity amongst ourselves and so forth, but I feel like it eventually comes down to where there has to be some sort of I just for lack of a better term, separation as far as this repatriation is concerned. Because the reality is this: if you have no love for the continent, if you have no love for your people in that way, do I really want you?
If you have no love for your Aboriginal indigenous culture here, do we really want you? Maybe you should just go back.
This
Because
is
you
a
serve no purpose here
demonstration of
with us.
Wirecast.
No, it's serving no purpose. If you think you're African, then why the hell you over here? Go back where you're from then. If you're so not indigenous to the Americas, why is your school, Umar Johnson, here? Isn't it a contradiction to tell everybody, hey, let's go back to Africa, but I'm going to build my school here? Who's going to go to that school if everybody goes back to Africa?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Who? So we're supposed to stay here, go to your school while you take the finance that you get from the school and you go to Africa and live with the pyramids and all that stuff? And have us over here like there's no pyramids here for us to live by? There's no Nile River here? There's no indigenous culture here?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
There with me? Because if we're at war and I'm telling you, come, let's go because we're in a danger zone, we need to move out of the zone. And you're like, but no, because I planted this tree here. You know, so I'm staying here under this tree. I don't care how dangerous the zone is. After a while, if I want to live, I'm going to have to leave you and your tree behind.
They're not going to come anyway.
So, right. So my thing is, shouldn't some of us be getting the mindset to just kind of like work with like-minded people towards that direction versus stressing ourselves out, trying to nudge these people who are convinced that they are native to the land and they're staying here?
To your point, as the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, quote, some of you are no good in America, and you will likewise be no good in Africa. I have no intention to resettle every black man back home in Africa. Neither does Dr. Umar Johnson. All these people who don't want to be African, I don't want them coming back because they will introduce a new breed of tribalism on the continent that will lead to mass chaos and civil war. We don't need that because that would be a perfect set of circumstances behind which the CIA can operate to undermine anything we try to do on the continent. So I'm not one of those people who want to convince the Aboriginals that they are African. Stay your ass here. I don't want them coming because they will bring nothing positive.
No, we know we're descendants of Africans. We know at one time this side was called Africa, and our people are from here. If over here is Morocco, then this is North Africa over here. What's the problem? Oh, and then South America is South Africa. Oh, because the Atlantic Ocean is a cosmic mirror that reflects both sides of the hemisphere. So, what are you really talking about? We're indigenous to Africa only. Because if there were giants here, then Atlantic
This
Ocean's a
is a
river.
demonstration of
If there are giants
Wirecast.
here. And if the Atlantic Ocean's a river, then what do you mean? What do you mean one side of the river is a different continent? The hell are you talking about? So we're on a riverbank, and then the other side of the riverbank isn't the same land that we're on. Oh, the other side of the riverbank is some
This
totally
is a
different new
demonstration of
world we never been
Wirecast.
to, and we need to go back there because somebody jumped over this river and put us in slavery, and then now we have to go back to where we came from, over across the river. Really? I'm telling you, you better be studying because all those Rastas that went to
This is a
Shashamani in the
demonstration of
1930s,
Wirecast.
Shashamani still looks the same as in the 1930s. They're home in Africa and all that stuff, but they're living the same as if they were over here. Like what's different? You have sun all the time, and that's it. That's the difference, and that's it. Yeah, we have sun all the time, but we're still eating sardine out the can and all that stuff. We're still, just getting by.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Doesn't seem like a good deal.
We can use back home. Nor do I want a lot of other people coming. I don't want the elf to import Chinese and white folks to build the roads, build the bridges, build many of the major government buildings, right? But you have the University of Ghana, University of Jamaica, University of Nigeria, University of Haiti. You have all these universities. Most black countries have more than one university, like most white countries do. If you have an engineering department, and your engineering department is 20, 40, 50, 60 years old, can you please explain to me why your engineering students and your engineers who have graduated from your indigenous university are not building your railroads and building your streets and putting your buildings together? If you're going to go to China and Europe to pay tradesmen and women to come in.
What you mean? What's the engineers here doing when they get out? Who they working for? When the guy gets
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
When the guy gets the degree or whatever on this side, who they going to help build up something? Oh, they're going to give it back to society because that's who they're contracted with. So don't tell me about the Africans that built whatever. How come they don't? Because when those Africans get their degree and they go to their own is telling them FOH. Not giving you no job, which is why they come over here and be taxi drivers. You know how many East Asians that had professions over there can't get work, so they come over here?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I'm talking about neurosurgeon drives taxi right now here. Brain surgeon. He has brain surgeon degree, but he can't use that here because of colonization. He has to go to school again. He's been cutting people's brains open for 20 years
this
in
is
his
a
country.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Then he came here. He can't even use his 20-year experience of cutting heads open to get a surgeon job here because paper is not the same. We need our paper saying that you're a surgeon. And then you have to go to school for 20 years, 60 grand a year. It's okay. I'll just be a cab driver.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Don't ever think that the sellout and all that stuff is just limited to us and we're the only ones that suffered people selling us out. No, everybody suffers. Everybody suffers.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
There's a game that they're playing. Don't let them play you. You have a birthright on this side. Yeah. Now, Quran talks about Africans, descendants, and stuff like that. That's not. What's our nationality? We're Moroccan, Moorish American.
This is a demonstration
That's
of
African.
Wirecast.
You don't gotta go over some Atlantic Ocean to be in Africa. Yeah, because this is Al Maroc, which is Morocco, which is Africa. Cosmic mirror, right? Reflection over there reflects over here. Egypt over here, Memphis over here, Nile over here, pyramids over here. What do you mean that over?
This is a
You're not home over
demonstration
here?
of Wirecast.
Games.
So it's just a hashtag. It'll be here for a few years. And if we're going to be doing some reparations, we need to do some restoration. And that means give us the land back that our ancestors owed. If you notice, nobody's talking about the restoration of land that was stolen from black folks, tens of thousands of acres from 1865 until 1965. What about the land they stole? This cannot just be about unpaid labor on the plantation. It must be a comprehensive assessment of what the European has.
What line are you talking about? Again, Dr. Ben told you that the Moors had an empire. The Moors, Africans, Arabs, Berbers.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
North Africa, Grenada. Grenada, there's one of those in the Caribbean. Grenada. What do you mean? Go somewhere. Go where? We're home.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And again. Now again, who were the Moors? The answer is very easy. The original Moors, like the original Egyptians, were black Africans. As amalgamation became more and more widespread, only the Berbers, Arabs, and coloreds in Moroccan territories were called Moors. Berbers, Arabs, and coloreds? Coloreds? Who the hell is he talking about? Who are the people known as coloreds? There was nobody called coloreds across the Atlantic Ocean. Coloreds are only over here. Berbers, Arabs, and coloreds in Moroccan territories. Over here's Morocco, right? Colors was used over here, right?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
You know where Berbers are from over there, right? You know Arabs are from over there, right? There are no Arabs over here like that. There are no Berbers over here like that. Oh, but there were colors over here. And there were Moroccan territories over here. And we have been over here before Christopher Columbus came over here.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
In North Africa and Morocco in particular, what kind of flag we flag? Red flag, green 5-point star, flag of what? Morocco? Okay, but we fly that over here, right? We're not going over there to go fly the Moroccan flag, talk about where Mars. We fly that over here, right? Okay. In North Africa and Morocco, why are they making a distinction between North Africa and Morocco if North Africa is where Morocco is? What do you mean in North Africa and Morocco? Just say in North Africa, or just say in Morocco. The African blacks, right, you're talking about the ones over here,
This is a
because they're the
demonstration
only
of
ones who call themselves
Wirecast.
African, and they're the only ones who call themselves black. Having had even this name taken from them, must contend for recognition as Moors. Must contend for recognition as Moors. Must contend for recognition as Moors. Not if they want to and all that stuff.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Contend with recognition as Moors. Don't let these people play you. Please don't let them play you. And I heard you, Moors.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
I heard you, Moors.
Gonna get us nowhere. That Papa Smurf shit ain't gonna get us nowhere. You feel me?
This is a demonstration of
Hold on.
Wirecast.
Yeah. Nah, I got this. So that Papa Smurf thing ain't gonna work. You feel me? Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this.
Of Wirecast.
Don't forget to follow on all social.
Are they running around this intellectually masturbating old ass information like Papa Smurf? That Papa Smurf shit ain't gonna get us nowhere. You feel me? Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. So that Papa Smurf thing
This is a
ain't gonna work.
demonstration
You
of
feel me?
Wirecast.
Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this.